Now that we've spent a bit of time with the widget inspector, I'd like to give you a better overview of the design principles that I've used to create all the widget classes in this project. And perhaps the most important thing is that when I create a new widget in Flutter, I like to think of it as a reusable component that I can use not just once, but potentially in many different places in the entire codebase. So just like the Flutter SDK gives us common widgets such as text, scaffold, up bar, row, and column that we compose together to build the UI that we need, we can also define our own custom widget classes and compose them together. In fact, the entire Flutter widget catalog was designed with composition in mind, and the idea that widgets should do one thing only, and we can use them as atomic building blocks to build more complex things. And one big mistake that I often see people do is to create massive widgets with a huge build method. And by doing that, they lose all the advantages of composition and create widgets that are too big, making them hard to reason about and potentially lead to performance problems. Instead, what I'd like to suggest is that when we build our own apps, composition is key, and we should think of each widget that we show on screen as a standalone component that has its own widget class. For example, here we can open the product page and we can immediately identify some custom widgets that belong together. For example, the title and description could be a widget, and the custom product review can also be a widget. The price itself could be a widget, and also this option to leave a review. And so is this quantity selector and this primary button to add an item to the cart. And as a whole, this is a responsive layout, which is also built as a responsive widget that takes care of switching between two different layout modes as we change the window size. So if we were to implement this entire page as a single widget class, we would very quickly end up with a massive file with a huge build method that would be very difficult to reason about. Instead, we can get back to VS Code and find out how this page is implemented. And a quick way to find the file that we want is to hit Command P and type product screen on the file search box. And this will take us to this product screen widget. And if we take a look at this build method, we can figure out the layout of this page. And as you can see, we return a scaffold containing a number of custom widgets, such as this custom home up bar, which represents the custom up bar with these buttons that you see over here. We also have an empty placeholder widget, which is used if the product is null for any reason. And we also had this custom product details widget and this custom product reviews list. In turn, the product details widget is defined here and uses composition heavily by relying on some built-in widgets such as card, padding, column, and text over here. And these all come from the Flutter SDK. But it also uses some custom widgets such as this responsive to column layout, or this product average rating widget, or this leave review action, or add to cart widget. And these are all custom widgets that I have created with code reuse in mind. And some of these widgets themselves are built out of other custom widgets. And this is completely by design, because whenever possible, I try to keep my widgets simple. In fact, there is something interesting that I want to show you. And that is that nearly all the classes that you'll find in this project have less than 100 lines of code, as you can see over here. And I think that having relatively small files is a worthwhile goal that you should also aim for as you build your Flutter apps. And another side effect of using composition heavily is that I've ended up with a small collection of common widgets that you can find in this folder. And this can be as simple as a custom text button widget, which is nothing more than a sized box with a text button inside it. Or perhaps this primary button, which is slightly more complex because it takes a custom isLoading property that is used to show a circular progress indicator or a text widget depending on its value. But overall, this is still a relatively simple widget that I've used in many places in my app, such as this button over here. In fact, if you spend some more time looking around in my code, you'll find that I never use helper methods to return widgets inside my classes, and I always prefer to create brand new widget classes instead. In fact, creating helper methods is an anti-pattern that can hurt the performance of your Flutter apps and make your widgets less reusable. And this is best explained by this great video by the Flutter team. And the bottom line of all of this is that it always pays off to keep composition in mind and design your entire UI out of reusable widget classes. So let's continue on the next lesson where I want to talk about responsive design.